the top developments on India's war on terror emanating from Pakistan. The Narendra Modi government continues to explore options to punish those behind the terror attack that left 26 people dead in Baisaran near Pahalgam last week. Let's take a look at the top developments. Prime Minister Modi chaired a crucial security review meeting this evening with the Defence Minister, NSA Ajit Doval, Chief of Defence Staff and 3 military chiefs. Sources say the Prime Minister has granted full operational freedom to the forces to decide their response, their targets and timings. A series of cabinet meetings are scheduled for tomorrow as well. The NIA, meanwhile, is piecing together the sequence of the April 22 attack and identifying the terrorists involved. Investigators have found that terrorists used mobile paid applications for communication. Around 45 local shopkeepers and pony guides have been questioned so far. India Today has accessed another video of the Pahalgam attack in which terrorists can be seen firing and gunning down innocent tourists. Visuals on your screen show a tourist collapsing to the ground after being shot at point blank. In a diplomatic response, the centre is considering shutting Indian airspace to Pakistani air carriers as part of retaliatory measures post the Pahalgam attack. Pakistan has already closed its airspace for Indians. Political sparring over the Pahalgam terror attack continues. The Congress posted a Gayab poster accusing the PM of missing in action during crisis. The BJP hit back, accusing Congress of echoing a Pakistan narrative. Meanwhile, the Congress has sought a special session to discuss the terror attack in Pahalgam. But the very latest is that Prime Minister Narendra Modi this evening chaired that crucial meeting on the situation along the India-Pakistan border and the LOC a week after the Pahalgam terror attack. The meeting was attended by Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, Chief of Defence Staff General Anil Chauhan, Chief of the Army Staff General Upendra Dwivedi, Chief of Naval Staff Admiral Dinesh Tripathi and the Chief of Air Staff Air Chief Marshal AP Singh. The meeting lasted over 90 minutes and is being seen as a ground assessment of the situation. The top government of India sources tell India Today that Prime Minister has told the chiefs that it is the national resolve to deal a crushing blow to terror. The Prime Minister expressed complete faith, confidence in the professional abilities of the armed forces. The Prime Minister has said they have complete operational freedom to decide on the mode, targets and importantly timing of the response. This, of course, is coming even as security forces on the ground in Jammu and Kashmir are carrying on their operations to nab the terrorists who are responsible for what happened in Pahalgam. Joining me now is Kamaljit Sandhu, live. Our correspondent is in Srinagar. Aishwarya Paliwal joins me here. She's been tracking what's happening at the centre. But first, you, Kamaljit, on the ground, we are told that there are encounters going on in undisclosed locations where the armed forces are security agencies are trying to close in, allegedly on terrorists, some of whom could have been involved in Pahalgam.
Well, absolutely, Rajdeep. Multi-pronged strategy right here on ground zero, which is in Jammu and Kashmir, and particularly southern Kashmir, where Pahalgam is. So a few kilometers away from here, massive cordon and search operations. And in the past week or so, there have been multiple times where there have been exchange of fire, and it's suspected it is perhaps the fire coming in from the same module which was involved in the particular terror attack. Now, what we know is they're intensifying operations. There's a crackdown as far as hideout are concerned. We know houses have been razed. That's been a controversial issue, with Umar Abdullah also speaking about it. But meanwhile, on ground, it's also cracking down and crack down on the overground sympathizers, people who could have actually provided some sort of logistics. Now, one man has been identified, that is Adil Tokar, who was previously with Hizbul Mujahideen and currently is with Lashkar-e-Taiba, who has said to have assisted 3 foreign terrorists or the Pakistani terrorists in unleashing this particular dastardly attack. So many issues on the ground now, but the other part is obviously the investigation. Now, NIA has formed at least 45-member team out here, which is spread out from Srinagar to Pahalgam, who will be looking at clues, whether it's forensic, whether we're talking about video clues coming in, speaking to eyewitnesses, building up a sequence of events, because remember, they would have to track down the conspiracy back to Pakistan, and it's no easy task. Meanwhile, what we see is joint operations taking place with Jammu and Kashmir Police, CRPF, the Indian Army. High alert sounded out both at international border and line of control. Pakistan has already been giving out statements, but with the Prime Minister now talking about how there is this readiness and giving a free hand to the Indian Army, things may actually not just see a ripple effect, but also see a larger ramification that could involve both the countries. There's a diplomatic offensive already underway. Deportations have started. We've already seen the Atari-Wagah border, which has become a key eye of focus. And this is where we've seen the families who are bearing the brunt of all the decisions that have been taken, the Indus Water Treaty. So a whole lot of plethora of activities are yet to come. But decisive one would come in from the Indian Armed Forces and the next course of action.
Right. Of course, as you said, security forces still trying to track down the terrorists responsible for what happened in Baisaran. But to you, Aishwarya Paliwal, we have a slew of meetings this evening and more scheduled for tomorrow. Another CCS, another CCPA, another CCEA. Is the government at the moment still not sure about how soon should they be seen to be acting in a kinetic manner? So the government is taking its own time, putting pressure on Pakistan through a variety of measures. Is that the strategy for now? And is the government willing to concede to the opposition demand for a special session of parliament?
Well, Rajdeep, from what I'm understanding at the moment, the special session will definitely happen, but only after action has taken. And Rajdeep, while the world very clearly is looking at the first meeting, I think the second meeting with the RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat is the one that we should all look out for, because that is an indication of what will happen. This is a meeting where the next course of action, what exactly the government is looking at doing and how to prepare the country for it, because that is what the RSS does best, and that is what Prime Minister Narendra Modi has had a conversation with Mohan Bhagwat about. He's told Mohan Bhagwat that is what I'm understanding at the moment of what the government is looking ahead, what they will be doing next. That's something that the RSS has been told about. And in a subtle way, the government has also told the RSS that now the country needs to be prepared, because that is what the RSS does best. So that's the meeting that personally I am also very keenly looking at. The government, let me tell you, will tell the opposition, will tell the nation what has happened. But from what I'm picking, Rajdeep, at the moment, the government will tell them once the action is done. So we are seeing the Congress leaders, Rahul Gandhi, asking the government to make sure that the session is held. A session will be held, but only after the action has been taken. Last time, Rajdeep, it was 11 days. It took India 11 days to respond. From what I am gathering, in the next 15 days, we should brace ourselves, because the government is very, very clear. Action will be taken. The isolation process of Pakistan, Rajdeep, has already begun. We should now just very keenly look at what the government is doing. From what we understand at the moment, from our sources in BJP and RSS, the next 15 days, very, very crucial. This time, the action will be swift. It will be decisive.
We'll wait and see what that swift and decisive action is. We don't want to prejudge what the government intends to do. But for now, clearly, at least the optics is that the government wants to send out a clear message to Pakistan that they this time will act decisively, is the word which is being used. We'll wait and see what that decisive action is. Aishwarya Paliwal, Kamaljit Sandhu joining me with the latest reports. Now, new intelligence reveals that the Pahalgam terror prime suspect is Hashim Musa, a former regular in the Pakistan army who received advanced combat training. Sources say he's using his military skills to evade capture. Take a look at just who Hashim Musa really is.
The sketch of terrorist on your screens is that of Hashim Musa, a trained Pakistani army commando sent by Pakistan to butcher innocent tourists in Pahalgam. Hashim Musa was a regular of the Pakistan army and is trained in armed combat. Agencies believe that he and at least 3 other terrorists shot innocent tourists in the head from point-blank range using M4 carbine assault rifles. Investigators believe that Musa, with an expertise in unconventional warfare, survival tactics and mountain combat, has so far been evading one of the biggest manhunts launched by the armed forces in the jungles around Pahalgam. The hiding terrorists have so far stayed away from villages, even for food and water. The NIA investigation has revealed chilling details of the horrific Pahalgam killings. Investigation revealed that 2 of the terrorists were in traditional Kashmiri ferens, while 2 were seen in tracksuits. According to eyewitness and survivor accounts, terrorists split the tourists into Hindus and Muslims, asking them to recite the Islamic verses or the Kalma. The ones who could not had fire opened on them, especially from the Hindu community. The initial investigation report that India Today has exclusively accessed reveals 2 terrorists shot at fleeing tourists right at the exit gate. Most of the targeted killings were at the local tea and the Bhelpuri stall near the exit and entry gates. After the massacre, the terrorists fled into the forest areas after the attack and jumped over a boundary wall.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Meanwhile, this viral video could prove to be a crucial evidence for the National Investigation Agency. The zipline operator, who was caught on camera chanting Allahu Akbar while the gunshots are being heard, is under the NIA lens and has been called for questioning.
आपने पूछा अपने भाई से ये कि जब जीप चला रहा था तो नारा क्यों लगाया?
सर जी वो पूरा कन्फर्म नहीं है, क्योंकि उनको जब वो आवाज आई है वो इसी के लिए आ रहा है। उनको पूरा पता भी नहीं था। वो जिपलाइन जब राइड कर रहे हैं तो वो उनको छोड़ रहा है, क्योंकि उनको खुद भी पता नहीं है। आप वीडियो में देख लीजिए एक बारी सर, क्योंकि वो बेक खुद ही जा रहा है, बेक वो खुद आराम से बैठ के है वहाँ पे सर।
अच्छा
जी,
जब मेरा लड़का और मेरी वाइफ नीचे पहुँच गई, मैं जिपलाइन में बैठा था, तब फर्स्ट फायरिंग हुई थी। और आफ्टर 20 सेकंड के बाद मुझे पता चला कि नीचे फायरिंग हो रही है और लोग मर रहे हैं। तो फिर जैसे मैं नीचे पहुंच गया तब मैंने देखा कि मेरे वाइफ के सामने 2 लोगों को रिलीजन पूछ के गोली मार दी है।
One question remains: how long before India brings the Pahalgam attackers to face law for killing 26 innocent people? With Arvind Ojha, Mir Farid and Kamaljeet Sandhu in Jammu Kashmir, Bureau Report for India Today.
Meanwhile, Pakistan Army Chief General Asim Muni's repeated references to the two-nation theory indicates that the Pakistan Army's real intention was very clear: stoke a communal divide in India by using terror. But the minority community and Muslims have rejected such attempts. In the last few days, several protests being organized by Muslim groups across the country against Pakistan-sponsored terror. India's Muslims are sending out a clear message: do not question our loyalty to the nation. Take a look.
The terrorists in Pahalgam picked their targets based on religion, shooting non-Muslim tourists one by one.
उसने बोला कि शायद मुस्लिम नहीं है, उसने उसको गोली मार दी।
थोड़ा बताइए हुआ। पति को मार दिया।
The terror attack on April 22nd came just days after Pakistan Army Chief Asim Muni reiterated the two-nation theory that led to the formation of Pakistan. The general statement and the terror attack are widely seen as an attempt by the Pakistani army to stoke divide in India, an attempt that failed miserably.
Against the Indian occupation.
From Kashmir to Kanyakumari, protests and candlelight vigils are held against terrorism. The valley saw shutdowns against terror for the first time in many years.
स्पीकर साहब, पहली मर्तबा 26 साल में मैंने जम्मू कश्मीर में किसी हमले के बाद लोगों को इस तरह बाहर आते हुए नहीं देखा। जामा मस्जिद श्रीनगर, हम समझते हैं किसी हमले के बाद उस मस्जिद में 2 मिनट की खामोशी का मतलब क्या है?
Muslim organizations held protests across India speaking out against terrorism sponsored by Pakistan. Friday prayers last week saw the devout wearing black armbands.
पाकिस्तान ये कहता है कि हम न्यूक्लियर बॉम्ब हमारे पास है, एटॉमिक बॉम्ब है। याद रखिए, अगर आप किसी मुल्क के अंदर जाकर मासूम लोगों को मारेंगे तो कोई भी मुल्क खामोश नहीं बैठने वाला है।
Meanwhile, RSS leader Indiresh Kumar on Tuesday urged the Muslim community to stop attending funerals of Islamist terrorists.
सब लोग बोलते हैं आतंकवादियों का कोई धर्म नहीं होता है। एक प्रश्न खड़ा होता है, फिर उसके लिए नमाज अदा क्यों होती है? तो जम्मू कश्मीर के सब मुसलमानों को ये तय करना होगा, और हिंदुस्तान के भी, कोई भी आतंकवादी ना उसके लिए नमाज अदा होगी, ना ही उसके लिए जनाजे में कोई जाएगा, ना ही उसको कब्र मिलेगी।
The RSS leader's comment notwithstanding, the message from the Muslim community to terrorists, and indeed Pakistan is loud and clear. Not in our name. Bureau Report, India Today.
And joining me now is the first of my guests tonight, Asaduddin Owaisi, the AIMIM chief who's been speaking out strongly against the Pakistani establishment. Mr. Owaisi, appreciate your joining us. You've come out very strongly against Pakistan and the horrific terror attack in Pahalgam. If today Pakistan Army Chief General Asim Munir, who's repeatedly talking about the two-nation theory, was in front of you, what would you, Mr. Owaisi, tell General Asim Munir of Pakistan?
Well, I would have told him that you're a failed state. And I would have reminded him that historically, if you see, there were two countries were formed on the basis of religion. One was Israel and other is Pakistan. And both of them are failed states. They have human rights, they abuse human rights. They don't have equality over there. And I would have told the ISI chief that what you have told is complete nonsense, and you dare not put forward all these question marks about the loyalty of any Indian Muslim, because we have decided our fate. Our elders have decided rightfully that we have rejected the theory of two nation, and we continue to believe in that. So there is no need for any ISI chief to try to provoke things over here.
You know, you just mentioned there, Mr. Owaisi, do not question the loyalty of the Indian Muslim. Do you feel angry that you have to undergo a loyalty test almost every time such a terror attack takes place, particularly of the kind in Pahalgam where the religion of the victims were identified before they were killed? Do you feel a certain pressure to prove your loyalty in a way to the country?
No, I see whatever I have said it because I am a Indian Muslim. I have taken oath on the Indian Constitution, and I take pride in being an Indian. So there is no such pressure on me that, oh, I am a Muslim, so I'll have to react, I'll have to say what I have said. And unfortunately, many of people who don't know me very closely have called me, so I tried to explain to them that it is not a matter of pressure, it is not a matter of what is happening in our country. It is me as an Indian who have to rise up to such occasions when terrorists come into our country, segregate people, and in front of their wife, children, kill Indians just because they happen to be following Hindu religion. Now that in itself is quite hurtful to me, and it is very painful to me. And I'm sure those families who have lost their loved ones, they will carry this scar for the rest of their lives. So this is the least which we can do as a member of parliament. And I've also said the same thing, Rajdeep, when I happened to be in Pakistan in 2012 and 13. So this is not new to me. People who don't know me, they are either happy and then tomorrow they'll start abusing me also. But that is not the point. The point is, as an Indian, whether you call it my pride, my love for this country, do not allow me to keep quiet and allow such people to talk rubbish, nonsense, lies and promoting terrorism in our country.
You know, you wore a black band, Mr. Owaisi. You distributed black armbands at the mosque before Friday prayers last week, urged others also to wear a black band as a mark of protest against Pahalgam terror. Do you believe that this is an occasion for Indian Muslims have to stand up in this manner and be counted? As I said, there will be those who keep questioning your loyalty, and does that again put you in a spot, in a difficult space?
Rajdeep, you see, I don't care two hoots about people who question the loyalty of Indian Muslims. See, we had a choice, our elders rejected it. And please also understand, Rajdeep, that, these people who do not know political history of India say, oh, Muslims voted for the Pakistan. No. It is those elite Muslims who were either educated, who were either Nawabs, who were paying some income tax. 85% of Muslims didn't vote for in that election. And there is no such pressure on me. And why should I say something about my country under someone's pressure? This is the love which comes out. I was born over here, and inshallah I will die over here. So people who are wrongly assuming that there is a loyalty test, there is no such loyalty test. Maybe it is in their mind. And these people have a sick mind if they think on those lines of what you have just said.
But there are those like Indresh Kumar, the RSS leader, who said today, if terrorists have no religion, then why are Islamic funeral prayers being recited for them? Why do people participate in terrorist funeral? This means terrorists have a religion. What would you like to tell today the likes of Indresh Kumar?
Well, he should first of all shut up for once. And secondly, he should see what happened to Ajmal Kasab. Muslims refused to bury Ajmal Kasab's body after he was hanged, after our courts had given him all the opportunity, and then the courts decided that capital punishment should be given to him. So would he talk in the same way about Nathuram Godse, the killers of Mahatma Gandhi? Who is he to bring into to ask such questions? What will he say to all those Naxalites? What would he say to killers of Indira Gandhi? What would he say to the people who killed Rajiv Gandhi? I mean, even at such a time, this fellow talks in such a language.
Sir, very interestingly though, that while Indresh Kumar is using this kind of language, the BJP leadership, I am told, reached out to you. You were invited to the all-party meeting. Amit Shah personally called you up to invite you to the meeting after your name was originally not there. Are you getting signs that the Modi government is aware that they also need to be on the front foot and ensure that this is not a moment to allow anyone to stir a Hindu-Muslim divide, because that is exactly what Pakistan wants. They want the Asaduddin Owaisis in a way to speak out.
See, I am not aware of the government, what the government wants, because I am not a spokesperson for the ruling party. But as a parliamentarian, as an Indian, I can say that if we continue to behave in this stupid way, it will bring smile on the faces of elite and the ISI and the deep state in Pakistan would be happy. Because you see, Rajdeep, today in Mangalore, during some cricket match, someone was killed, mob lynched, because someone had made allegation he happened to raise some slogan. In Nagpur, a Kashmiri student was slapped. And for God's sake, understand that what we are seeing in Kashmir now is an organic agitation and protest against Pakistan and the terrorism which Pakistan has perpetrated. You know, if a place called Supor, which has no tourist over there, you have people coming out in the night and holding a candlelight vigil against what happened in Pahalgam. I hope and I request Mr. Narendra Modi's government to fully use this situation in Kashmir, where common Kashmiris, without any backing, without any design, they are coming out on streets and outrightly condemning the terrorism perpetrated by Pakistan and Lashkar and ISI. This is a golden opportunity for the government of the day to use it.
You know, it's important what you're saying just now. You see a ray of light in the way Kashmiris have spontaneously come out on the streets, bands have been called. You see a ray of light. Importantly, is there a message, therefore, to Pakistan above all else, that you cannot divide India anymore on religious lines?
Rajdeep, this is a golden opportunity for our country, for Mr. Narendra Modi, for Mr. Amit Shah, to reach out to Kashmiris and to stop any Kashmiris being assaulted or being questioned about their loyalty. I say again, a place like Sopore, which has no tourist over there, they are outrightly, without any government or any police or any CRPF guys telling, they just came out. So I think so. A strong message has gone from the Kashmiris that they reject this vulgar, this brutal form of terrorism which Pakistan is doing in Kashmir. They are tired, and you see, they are stuck in a tunnel now. But what they are seeing now is that yes, we see some light at the end of the tunnel, and as an Indian, I am telling you, the Kashmiris are as patriot as you and me. Every society has some black sheep, but you cannot generalize the whole Kashmiris. I mean, that is a completely wrong notion to accept and to say.
Do you also believe then, Mr. Owaisi, that this is also the time to break the back of Pakistan-based terror? The Prime Minister says unimaginable consequences will be heaped. Do you believe the time has come to walk the talk and actually send out a tough, unambiguous message to the Pakistani deep state, the army state?
I wish Narendra Modi in 2019 itself had gone into POK and occupied all those launching pads area. Now, what the government wants to do, Rajdeep, me and you don't know. But as an Indian and as a person who's concerned and pained by what happened in Pahalgam, I hope that a strong action will be taken, because Article 51 of the United Nations allows a state to act in self-defense against state actors as well. There is a resolution which was passed by Security Council after 9/11, which places responsibility on Pakistan not to promote, not to finance. And thirdly, I am saying again, it is high time that the Indian government ensures that Pakistan is brought in grey list of FATF, and international law allows us to ensure that we block Pakistan Air Force and their Navy, and we must ask for sanctions. This is very important. And whatever military action the government takes, we'll definitely support them. It is high time we put an end to this terrorism, because Pakistan is a failed state. I say again that they're half an hour behind India. They're not half an hour behind India, Rajdeep. They are at least 30 years behind India. And that is why you see all these feudal politicians for Pakistan talking complete rubbish and nonsense. It is high time that we show them a mirror.
I saw the strong response you gave to Bilawal Bhutto, who spoke about blood would flow if the Indus Water Treaty was held in abeyance. Your message, therefore, Asaduddin Owaisi, am I clear in conclusion? Unambiguous message to the Pakistani leadership. Don't you dare try and divide India. It will not work. India will not be divided on Hindu-Muslim lines. You cannot link religion and terror. That will be rejected by the people of India, but particularly by the large Muslim population in this country. Am I right?
No, you're absolutely right. Not only that, but the Pakistani establishment should realize that they have a Baluchi problem. You are killing people who are praying in masjids in your own country. You are killing people because you happen to call them Mahajirs. You are killing people because they happen to be Pathans. So it is high time that the Pakistan look into their into their own society, deep society, and see what is happening in their country. A country which cannot even make a tablet for malaria. You cannot even make tires over there. For God's sake, do not test the patience of our country. 26/11, Rajdeep. So many terrorist attacks which have been perpetrated in Pakistan. It's a completely failed state.
Pakistan is a failed state, is your message to General Munir. If General Munir, you're listening, here is Asaduddin Owaisi, loud and clear. You are a failed state which is not just 30 minutes behind India, but 30 years behind India. And the two-nation theory is being rejected. Asaduddin Owaisi, for speaking so plainly to me, appreciate your joining us. I just want to carry forward that. Mr. Owaisi, of course, is a prominent Indian Muslim political face, but there are lots of Indian Muslims who don't need to prove their loyalty to the Indian nation. They have been stalwarts of this nation. Najib Jung, former Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, former Vice Chancellor of Jamia Millia, joins me. Wajat Habibullah is someone who served as a very distinguished officer both in the Prime Minister's office and in Jammu and Kashmir. And I want to come to you, Wajat Habibullah, because you know Kashmir better than most. We are seeing this outpouring on the streets also of Kashmir of anger, in a way, against Pakistan and this violence. Do you believe, as Asaduddin Owaisi told me, there's a ray of light? This is a moment of hope for Kashmir to strike back?
Kashmir to strike back? I mean, I don't quite see the point of your question. What is Kashmir to unite about?
Kashmir united.
Attack.
Kashmir uniting against terror.
Well, Kashmir is united. The Kashmir has been united for a very long time. They have also stood against terror for a very long time. And if you didn't want to notice it, then that's another point of view altogether. But the fact is that they have
Kashmiris, with due regard, sir. With due regard,
sir,
sorry to interrupt. We haven't seen Kashmiris come out in the street as spontaneously and organically as they have come out this time. Something seems to have changed.
No, I don't think so at all. This time also and earlier also, they have had this opposition to this kind of violent terrorism, and this particular time it has become easily manifest. But I have written on this in the Wire, as you would have seen, and I've actually quoted the Kashmiris as to what their attitudes are. These attitudes have not changed. They have been like that for a long time. They have now found voice. That is a good thing, certainly. But the point is that it is not only a question of a protest against what Pakistan has done. There has been a major security breach in Jammu and Kashmir. Or don't you understand that? We know for a long time, and as Owaisi has pointed out, Kashmir, this is not the first time that there has been a terrorist attack by Pakistan. And we know that Jammu and Kashmir has been the focus of their terrorist activities. And I've written this in this article also. So that is one aspect. We have to take the matter up with Pakistan, and the government of India is taking it up. Now, one may discuss whether they're doing enough or not doing enough, but certainly they've taken it up and they've identified the problem. There is no point in Pakistan trying to deny connivance or responsibility for what has happened, because these actions take place in Kashmir only if they originate in Pakistan. It may not be the Pakistan government, it may be something else, but the Pakistan government should then come forward and prove its honesty by actually finding out who were the perpetrators, who organized this, and go on. That is that aspect. But on the other hand, shouldn't we be examining ourselves why we let this happen? There were no security personnel at all present in the area where the terrorist attack took place. Not only that, when the terrorist attack took place, there were no security personnel at all to assist those poor tourists and others who were rushing out. Who were the people assisting them? Only the Kashmiris. Mind you, only the Kashmiris. The hoteliers, the restaurateurs, they provided them food, they conducted them to their vehicles, they took them to the airport, had them board the plane. And what was the response of the airlines? They hiked their fares. Now, please understand what the responsibility is. Please let us see. Now, we will, of course, take Pakistan to task for what they have done. But let us also examine where we have failed, or shouldn't we?
Okay. Fair point, Mr. Habibullah. You believe that there must be also accountability for security lapses, not just
of course.
Sort of absolutely.
Of course. Now please remember, Rajdeep, if I may interrupt you again, if I may interrupt you here, you know when there was a train accident in the time that Lal Bahadur Shastri was railway minister. Now, the railway minister was not driving the train. The railway minister was in no way responsible for actually the accident itself. But the railway minister resigned. Anybody, any action taken, even against a Thanedar?
Can I at this point bring in Najib Jung? Najib Jung, there's one aspect that Wajat Habibullah has raised, saying, look, do not ignore the security lapses that took place, fix responsibility. The other aspect which I discussed with Asaduddin Owaisi, which is troubling at one level, every time a terror attack, particularly of this kind, where victims were identified by their religious identity, leads suddenly Indian Muslims to have to prove their quote-unquote loyalty. Does that trouble you, anger you? What's the way forward?
Rajdeep, permit me, before I answer this question, I want to take you back to what you asked Owaisi Saab, that what would his reaction be if Asif Munir was sitting in front of him. And my reaction to that, I want to put on television, is that I would tell him on his face that he is a big donkey and an ass of the first order, that his efforts to put a divide between Hindus and Muslims in India are rather crude, and that he will indeed get a befitting reply from the Indian side. That is one. I have said before, and I am not ashamed to say, that Indian Muslims are often put to test. In fact, after every such incident, Indian Muslims are made to put to test. And sometimes we see reactions from Muslims which are overdone. Not necessarily, because I say that, like Owaisi Saab said, that when I joined service, I swore an oath to the Constitution of India. I forget my identity as a Muslim, but I remain an Indian wedded to the Constitution. I do not forget my religion, that is at my home. So to put the Indian Muslims to test is to shame India. And that, unfortunately, is the direct attempt of Asif Munir. And in many places, as Owaisi Saab pointed out, we have fallen into the trap. It is a classical trap which is going on for years and years and years. It's 100 years of efforts to put a Hindu-Muslim divide amongst us. To Indian Muslims, I will tell you, who stayed back. And let me quote Maulana Azad, who gave a speech on the steps of the Jama Masjid in 1943 to Indian Muslims. Permit me to say that in Urdu. And he said, कि याद रखो कि 2000 साल पहले तुम्हारे कारवान इसी जमुना नदी पे आए थे और यहीं तुमने वजू किया था, यही तुम्हारा मुल्क है. And those are the Indians who stayed back. Not as Owaisi Saab said, there was a lot of Jagirdars and rulers, etc., who were doubtful whether they could compete with the Hindus in India who are more educated. The cause of partition is different. And these Indian Muslims who stayed back on their own volition. They have proved their mettle in sports, they have proved their mettle in soldiery, they have proved their mettle in services, and therefore, to ask them what, I am sorry to hear Mr. Indresh Kumar talk nonsense. He has no business to advise Indian Muslims. He does not know Islam. You know, if a person dies, an enemy or non-enemy, if he's in front of me, I will bury him. I don't care who he is. That's his right for a burial. And Indresh is the last man to advise Indian Muslims on how they should behave. Indian Muslims will remain Indian Muslims. And the government of India, I'm really glad, has asked Owaisi Saab to come for this. And we've heard Umar Abdullah. His respect in my eyes goes up enormously. I mean, here is a leader who has really come out in his assembly and challenged everybody that do not challenge either Kashmiri Muslims or Indian Muslims. So that's my take on this.
Very, very strong words used both towards message to General Asif Munir and the likes of Indresh Kumar from you there, Najib Jang. Wajat Habibullah, as the reference was made to Omar Abdullah's speech, coming out very strongly, because there have been Kashmiris who've also felt over the years that they have been subject to collective punishment in a way for what has happened in Kashmir over the last 30 years. Do you believe that also is a major factor, that somewhere down the line now, for much too long, Indians have seen Kashmiri Muslims in particular with an eye of suspicion, and this tragic terror attack needs to heal and bridge certain divides?
Well, you see, this is unfortunately a part of that. So far as the Pakistani strategy is concerned, quite clearly, the very fact that these terrorists actually threatened the persons asking them whether they're Hindus or not, was an effort designed to bring division between India's people. As Najib says, we are not a different people. Whether we are Hindus or Muslims is a question of faith. We are exactly the same people. But this division has been caused, and as he pointed out, over 100 years this has been built up. And Pakistan is playing on that. And we are falling prey to it, comfortably. The question is,
there's a message also here to there's a message also here to those. There is a message also here to those who mix religion with politics. Am I clear that that's the last thing you want to see is those in power in any part of this country mixing religion with politics and demonizing a community?
Is that me or Rojat?
Entirely, because the point is, these actions have nothing to do with politics. These matters have nothing to do with religion. None of the tourists over there was indulging in any particular religious practice. They would have had their own religious rights or whatever they had on their own. But it was not a public, nothing of that kind of thing, but it was deliberately drawn. And this is not the first time it has happened. That's why I was telling you that the Kashmiris have resented this for a long time. For a long time, we know what happened with the exodus of the Kashmiri Pandits in the early 90s. I was commissioner of Kashmir at the time, not at the time the exodus took place, but shortly thereafter. This was all actually generated and actually designed by our friends across the border. But the question is, and this was to create a religious divide, to strengthen them. And we fall victim to it. We are
we did.
This kind of thing.
The Pandits is a more...
That's right.
Sure, the Pandits though is a more contentious issue where Kashmiri locals should have worked to stop the exodus.
So let us not raise that issue now.
Yeah, we need to look forward.
They should have. I'm telling you, but let us not go into that now, because that is not the subject of this discussion. I'm saying this is what I was only mentioning, that this is not the first time they've tried to do this.
Sure.
We are used to this fact. Why don't we realize this fact? Why don't we realize this fact? And these kind of actions are designed to create divisions in Indian society. Why should we fall prey to it every time? Why should people like Indresh and all actually be showing that they have bought the Pakistani idea?
I take your point. The fact is, though, a large number of Indians have rejected, Indian Muslims and Indian Hindus are rejecting the idea that an Asim Munir can put up a two-nation theory. Therefore, Najib Jung, should we be looking at the glass as half full as well? That this is a moment where India is showing how it is different to Pakistan.
Yes, Rajdeep. The point is the first thing that you asked, Wajahat Saab, which is that can we separate the state from religion? And that's an endeavor that the government of India must do, because I'm afraid that the role that the government of India should have played in the last 10 years, that has not happened. I mean, we have often seen at the highest echelons efforts being made to divide communities. So obviously, the glass is half full, and we should take this opportunity to really fill it up, because this is a time to show all people across India, the right and the left and the centrists, that India can be united. We are united in a time of this enormous tragedy. And so why do we wait to unite ourselves only in times of tragedy? Can't we enjoy brotherhood again as we did when we were children, when you and I were children, when we celebrated Eid and Holi together, when our mohallas lived together, when we did candlelight marches together in case of a tragedy? Why can't we be again the same country? So this glass is half full today. Let's take this opportunity. Let's welcome the Kashmiri with open arms. And
while we welcome the Kashmiris with open arms, presumably those Kashmiris who have in the past flirted with militancy or have helped the militants, the terrorists are those, I don't call them militants, they are terrorists, are those who also need to be singled out and punished, but don't have collective punishment for all Kashmiris. Am I correct?
You're absolutely right. I have no doubt that there is a local element in Kashmir. We all know it, who are sympathetic to the other side. They also have to be won over or singled out and punished. But to sort of capture 1,500 people today, as we have done in Kashmir, or to burn houses, etc., without a legal process of law, I think that will upset the Kashmiri psyche much more. We should be a little subdued in that and thoughtful in that. As the government of India is being vis-a-vis thinking over action in Pakistan. I mean, it's 5 days, but we see meeting after meeting. Obviously, the government of India is giving a very hard thought on how they should react to Kashmir after the first really solid blow of putting in abeyance the Indus Waters Treaty.
Right. So what, in a way, what you're saying is no collective punishment. We don't need bulldozer or bomb justice. What we need is those responsible are identified, whether they are local Kashmiris or those across the border, ensure maximum punishment to them. But the last thing we need is to single out or demonize a community. The strength of India, the remarkable strength of India lies in its ability to bridge divides between communities. Do not allow those outside this country to divide us, and send out a firm message to the likes of General Asim Munir, who talks still of a two-nation theory. Wajat Habibullah and Najib Jung, for coming on my program and speaking with such clarity. I appreciate both of you joining me. Thank you so much. Let's turn to our ground report tonight, which comes from Jaisalmer, where villages along the international border, as tensions between India and Pakistan rise, are clearly, people on that international border are wary. Our reporter Dev Ankur Wadhawan visited villages near Longewala, where a battle was famously fought in the 1971 war that inspired a Bollywood movie. This is what he found on the ground.
जंग छिड़ जाओ तो सबसे बहुत परेशानी है।
अभी यदि जंग होती है तो भी लोग प्रभावित होंगे। पहले जंग हुई थी, उसके अंदर भी लोग प्रभावित हुए थे।
जंग तो समाधान नहीं है, लेकिन फिर भी सजा उनको मिलनी चाहिए। जंग होगी तो पूरा इलाका प्रभावित होगा।
Every time war clouds gather, villages along the international border are on tenterhooks. In Jaisalmer district of Rajasthan, where the famous Battle of Longewala was won by Indian forces in 1971, border villages are worried. India today visited Gamnewala and Murad Ki Dhani near Longewala to gauge the mood there.
जंग लगने में तो साहब नुकसान होता है, कोई पब्लिक को होता है, सबको होता है। इसमें नहीं जंग लगे तो सही रहे, चोर को सजा मिल जाए तो अच्छी रहे। चोर है ना जो ये किया है ना, उस आदमी को सजा मिलनी चाहिए, कड़ी सजा।
जो हुआ है वो बहुत बुरा हुआ है उनके साथ, जिस किसी ने भी किया है वो बहुत गलत किया है जी। यहाँ पे उनको भी मान ले कि परेशानी उठानी पड़ जाएगी, क्योंकि यहाँ जो बॉर्डर इलाके पे रह रहे हैं उनको भी बहुत तकलीफ होगी। अगर लड़ाई लगेगी, जंग लगेगी, तो उनको वही सजा मिलनी चाहिए जो उन्होंने उस पहलगाम वालों के साथ किया है जी।
Villagers recounted how they fled their homes during the wars.
लड़ाई लगने के बाद में हम छोटे थे, जब 65 भी तो बिल्कुल छोटे थे, 5 साल के थे। 71 में कुछ बड़े थे, उस पहले हम तो 65 में निकल गए। वहां रहते थे देवी कोट। गर्मा गर्मी में लोग भाग गए, ऐसे ही भाग, किसी को बोला, कोई अपने आप भाग मर्जी से।
People living in villages near the border, such as Gamnewala, Murad Ki Dhani, Sardesai and Tanot, claim they have fallen off the development map.
यहाँ बुखार आओ, बच्चे को एक सिर दर्द हो नहीं, तो भी हमारे को क्या पता क्या तकलीफें, बुखार है तो रामगढ़ जाना पड़ेगा। कितना दूर जाना पड़ता है? 40 किलोमीटर रामगढ़ है। और पढ़ने के लिए भी 5वीं तक क्लास है, 8वीं हो तो बच्चा कुछ बड़ा हो जाए, ठीक सुविधा मिल जाओ बहुत ज्यादा।
अभी यदि जंग होती है तो भी लोग प्रभावित होंगे। पहले जंग हुई थी, उसके अंदर भी लोग प्रभावित हुए थे। अभी बड़ी मुश्किल से यहाँ तक लाइटें पहुंची है, नहीं तो कहाँ थी, कुछ था ही नहीं यहाँ पे।
आसपास कोई ढंग के स्कूल हॉस्पिटल हैं क्या?
स्कूल है 5 तक, बाकी रामगढ़ यहाँ से 28 किलोमीटर पहले कोई सुविधा नहीं।
जैसे मैं देख रहा हूँ कि छोटी छोटी जो बच्चियां हैं वो पानी उठाकर ला रही हैं। ये जो इलाका है बेहद पिछड़ा हुआ इलाका है। अगर कोई मेडिकल इमरजेंसी आ जाए तब आप लोग क्या करते हैं? अगर अपने बच्चों को आगे पढ़ाना चाहते हैं, अच्छी शिक्षा दिलाना चाहते हैं, तो आप लोग क्या करते हैं?
हमारे लिए रामगढ़ ही है। रामगढ़ अगर इमरजेंसी होती है तो भी रामगढ़ है, और इसको हॉस्पिटल स्कूल सब रामगढ़ से पहले कुछ नहीं है।
कहाँ जाते हो स्कूल?
रामगढ़।
यहाँ से कितना दूर है?
28 किलोमीटर।
रोज जाते हो इतना दूर? Even as people out here feel that attacks should be avenged, they also feel that deteriorating relations between India and Pakistan has affected their lives in the past. With camera person Manish Devankur Vadhavan in Gamnewala in Jaisalmer for India Today.